South Africa's constitution is often lauded for its future forwardness on issues like socio-economic and human rights. It's described as progressive and pro-poor. But in reality, our criminal justice system doesn't always deliver justice to South Africa's women and children who die at the hands of men in gender-based violence on a scale that's pretty terrifying. Joining me to look at how women, specifically the vulnerable, fare under our criminal justice system in the context of GBV is lawyer and executive director of the Women's Legal Centre, Sehaam Samaai, and the program manager at SWEAT Nosipho Vidima. Thank you so very much for joining us. Sehaam, at the Women's Legal Centre, you specifically look at how to make the criminal justice system work for women. Many have said that in reality, the system is rooted in patriarchy, often re-victimizes women and children when they do go to court. How far have we come in making the criminal justice system work for South Africa's women and children?
Thank you, Karima. Sadly, I'm going to say that our courts and our justice system at this point in time has not been COVID ready. The response, as we know, as across the world, but what we have seen is that there has been a broad crisis in relation to access to justice for women and children who has been impacted by violence. What we have seen during this particular period in your level 4 and your level 5 is that there has been an increase, but there has not been an increase in relation to reporting. And what does that say for the justice system? It actually reflects that the system in itself hasn't centered women, even though the state have indicated that they have prioritized. It has been in the regulations. But why is it, and the question is, why is it that women have not come forward to be able to ensure that they get the proper redress in relation to justice? So I'm just going to take it a bit back. We need to recognize that women are one of the most vulnerable within our country, and in particularly also children. And what we have seen is that the deep inequalities in our system has actually exacerbated the challenges which women face when they try to navigate and get to the court system. Because what needs to be there to be able to ensure that women can get that access? And we need to be able to take a step back and to be able to see how do women get out of the home in the first place when you have a transport system that is not accommodative. When women have to navigate to a particular court, get to the court, but then the system in itself don't take into account that the clerks, that the personnel, that those that are supposed to provide some form of service also need to be protected. Because what we have seen within the system is also a closure of police stations, closure of courts. And the question that we have is, why hasn't the state prioritized violence against women in relation to implementation? And
Sehaam, hold that thought. I want to bring Nosipho in. Nosipho, you work for SWEAT, an organization that works with the most vulnerable in society, often sex workers in particular. And sex work is, of course, criminalized still. In your experience, what does the criminal justice system offer the communities that you work with, the women that you work with, and do the system protect them or re-victimize them, given the fact that there's no legal protection for sex work in South Africa?
I would actually say that the justice system is very flawed. I actually agree a lot with what Sehaam has actually said. So for sex workers, it's actually quite more vulnerability. There's double stigmatization and double victimization. As we're talking right now, a few months back when the lockdown started, one of sex worker members actually died while in custody at a police station. But that's not just our only number. We also have issues in Durban where 4 sex workers died, and in the Eastern Cape 2 sex workers also died. And this is gender-based violence related deaths. They fall under femicide, and none of these cases have actually gone to court yet. And as Sehaam is saying that because the courts are even closed, you can't even actually ask when they actually going to be starting the cases if there are suspects that are known in the cases. So that is what we're facing right now. But it's always been this case. I mean, the report that we have, which is called the CNM report, highlighted that out of the 101 sex workers that had died between 2018 and 2019, 48.5% of that was due to murders. And it's murders that are related to GBV and femicide.
Yeah. Sehaam, let me bring you in here. In the segment before you, we spoke with Professor Gola and with Vanita Daniels, and they were saying that, the system is broken in many ways, and before we even get to the legal system, we need behavior change, we need socialization change. But if you look at the law as it stands, never mind how the courts operate, what in our legal system needs to be changed to empower women and to give women the knowledge that the legal system will work for them, that they won't be slut-shamed when they come to court, that their sexual histories won't be used against them when they take powerful men to court who abuse them. What about the legal system? The laws need to be changed in order for women to have a fair shake at a legal system that often presents them with the burden of proof of having been violated in one way or the other.
Karima, there are so many things that needs to be able to be changed in the system. And COVID has actually, or the lockdown has actually reflected, as I stated before, how the deep inequalities actually impact on women and their access. And I want to emphasize that, because notwithstanding the fact that there's lockdown, notwithstanding the fact that there are limitations, the state still has a duty to be able to ensure, or at least there's a constitutional duty to ensure that women are safe and secure. And they also need to be able to address the deep inequalities. Those are the challenges that needs to be addressed. And it's correct. We need to be able to look at prevention. We need to be able to deal with the deep-seated stereotypes within our communities that deals with women, the misogynistic behavior, the toxicness within both our communities, in our religious structures, in our society. Because at the end of the day, if we don't see women in a manner to ensure that they are equal, the system in itself will not be able to assist. And I know that you asked, what is what can we do to be able to ensure? Let's start with the inequalities. Because what we will see, there will be a massive economic fallout in relation to what has happened during this lockdown. We will see a crisis in relation to a range of groups, and what we will see is that women, at the end of the day, which is at the intersection of these vulnerabilities, will be disproportionately impacted. What will we see? We will see evictions, we will see retrenchments, we will see deep-seated economic challenges, and that also exacerbates violence against women. So I'm going to take it a step back. Just within the justice system, we need to ensure that there's legal services, and we need to ensure that there's legal information which empowers people, empowers the communities, and also aims to address these situations. And we need to be able to see how that is done. There needs to be standard operating procedures within the justice system to be able to systematically say, this needs to be done when a woman comes. And you also need to understand the navigation of that woman trying to get to that particular court. If we don't have that sensitivity, we will ensure that there is secondary victimization. So I cannot overemphasize that we need to be able to ensure that there is education, there needs to be standard operating procedure, but just in addition to that, what we have seen is that there has also been an increase, for example, in cyber activity. One of the laws that needs to also come in is, it's something which gender activists have been speaking about way before the lockdown and before COVID, which is the Cyber Bully Act, the act in itself, the bill. Because we need to be able to ensure that those things are regulated within the broader cyberspace, because we have seen now violence also moving into that particular space. Here you have an act that the court can actually bring into about, because there has been a huge amount of consultation in relation to that. That is only into society, but let's get back into the home. What the state has to do, and the Department of Justice, is to be able to roll out their safety plans, the domestic violence safety plan strategy that has been in the department for years. And we need to be able to ensure that women know how to navigate out of the home and get into, because how do you have a woman that is sitting in a house that has to contact the court, that has to move into the court, but the abuser is sitting in the court.
Absolutely. Sehaam, hold that thought. We're going to come back. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we look at what needs to change in the legal framework to give women greater protection and also greater access to the criminal justice system. Stay with us.